Only a couple days into the transfer portal season, and the best QB options are already coming off the table. Meanwhile, DeShaun Foster continues to finish up what his staff's going to look like in 2025.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for your support. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can make every moment more by joining FanDuel, and you can start off big with a big return. Place a $5 bet as a new customer. You win it, get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Where we get started today, the portal's begun. UCLA has seen quite a few big names leave, and we're still waiting on UCLA to bring one or two big names in for their current upgrading of the 24 roster into 2025. A team that looks to improve upon a 5-7 campaign for DeShaun Foster's crew. Yeah, Connor Weigman going to a new school. You got Darian Mensah going to Duke. When's UCLA going to get a visit from one of these guys into the portal, let alone get somebody? And if that's even their objective at the moment, maybe that's not. But it's just a bit of a struggle to see some of these bigger names going off the board. And UCLA, all right, who are they going to be in play for? If you see Justin Martin going to go check out maybe some SEC schools, you see a former SEC quarterback getting a new home immediately with Houston in the Big 12 of all places, staying in Texas, and then Mensah, the heir apparent to Malik Murphy as he heads on over to Duke, right? All in a crazy day when Bill Belichick's back in football, college football, craziness. And it's like, all right, it seems like UCLA maybe is missing out on some top-tier quarterback options. I know I saw DB was offered, maybe another running back from Washington State's making a visit, and then was it Keyshawn Hunter, who, you know, they're going after a former Cougar running back in the portal, and they just haven't seemingly made QB a priority if that's where they're going to go. Well, what has DeShaun Foster made his priority so far heading into the early stages of the 24 offseason? He's making upgrades or changing things up on his complete staff. It's Tino Sunseri who has become the official offensive coordinator. He announced it himself. Yeah, I'm going to UCLA, but I'm going to finish off my season at Indiana first, which means, as UCLA fans, that we should cheer for Indiana to lose to Notre Dame. So Sunseri can come over to UCLA as soon as possible, right? The sooner you have your offensive coordinator out there recruiting, kind of keeping an eye on the UCLA side of things as opposed to how to coach his guys in the playoff, all the power to him. Best luck. Indiana's been a great story, but you want him in blue and gold much sooner. But he's officially a part of this staff. Again, UCLA trying to get Fresno State's D-line coach to become UCLA's D-line coach, which means where are they going with that? You have Demetrius Martin, who has replaced Brian Norwood as a DB's coach, coaching the whole secondary. You've seen Martin already flip a guy at the last minute. UCLA's connections with Sunseri and McDaniel becoming a last-minute QB flip. That hasn't turned into portal success just yet. And the latest of the news for UCLA is that, according to Football Scoop, and I think I already saw this too tweeted out by somebody working in the UCLA athletic department as well, that they're going to have Andy Kwan, former Georgia Southern offensive lineman. He's been on the staff at Arkansas State with Butch Jones, so maybe working his way up. He is going to possibly be, reportedly, the UCLA offensive line coach. And UCLA already lost Juan Castillo. They got rid of Eric Bieniemy, or maybe he walked away, whatever you want to believe in that situation. And now one could argue DeShaun Foster, the big thing was heading in the 24 season was continuity, whether it was players, whether it was coaches. And here we are, DeShaun Foster starting to make his name for himself by getting his own guys. UCLA has to keep Ikaika Malloy. They've made the big home run switch. Whether they went with the big name home run swing, came up empty. Going after the young, up-and-coming Tino Sunseri from Indiana. All right, let's give him the reins and see what he does with UCLA football. You got rid of the offensive line coach. You get a new O-line coach. I wonder how much that changes things. What's the connections there? with recruiting, and then, hey, a new D-line coach, getting one from Fresno State, and building something for UCLA in the future. So while the Bruins haven't necessarily brought in any of those big names, they can have a staff in place. They already have a recruiting staff in place that's made UCLA a lot better in the high school recruiting ranks, even though their class of 25 dipped at the last moment due to some flips. Their top 3 projected commits all flipped. So UCLA was borderline top 30 and then flipped and barely made it into the top 40, if on the outside looking into that top 40 of a recruiting class. Even though you look at what Indiana did, they went 3-star transfers, development, cohesive staff, and they're in the playoff, which makes UCLA an interesting topic to talk about. UCLA filling out their staff first, and now they have limited time to start wooing the leftover guys unless they've already made some contacts, unless they have certain prospects, or they know who on their roster is going to compete for a starting spot in 2025. Because let's remember, the Big Ten released what UCLA's 25 schedule is going to be. We already pretty much knew the opponents. We knew what the non-conference schedule is going to look like. But now, if UCLA wants to be one of those surprise contending teams, maybe it's a 5-win season to an 8-win season, maybe they turn into an Indiana, would be a little less egregious considering Indiana went from woeful to, hopeful. UCLA has that hopeful like 2025 schedule. And the way it's built, I think, is a lot better, so much better than what it was in 2024, based on travel, based on how the opponents are listed and what I expect them to be. If UCLA, even though they're not getting any big name quarterbacks right now, they haven't gotten any big name transfer guys. I know they were one of the first teams in the country to get a transfer commit, the former Arkansas receiver. But now, fill up the coaching staff. You know what your schedule is going to look like, and maybe we'll start seeing a lot of guys committing because, hey, it's a longer process. There's a lot of guys that go to the portal, they never play football again, or they never play a sport again based on how it works out. But this is what UCLA's 2025 schedule looks like. They start off against Utah, all right? Who knows if Kyle Whittingham's going to be there? Who knows if Cam Rising's going to be there? Well, Utah did just get a commit quarterback-wise for next season. What does that say about Cam Rising for next year? Is he healthy enough? Does he get the extra year with the injury? Who knows? Utah played so poorly end of the year. UCLA plays that game at home in August. I like UCLA's chances in that game. Hopefully, they obviously have to build a roster in order to compete, or they could be looking at a terrible 3-9, 4-8 season. But that is a very winnable game after what Utah was projected to be and looked like when Cam Rising was healthy. Then there's UNLV, who lost their head coach. Then it looks like Dan Mullen's going to be their coach. And I think some of their guys have run out of eligibility in the quarterback position in a team that made it to a Mountain West championship game. I would like to think UCLA could handle UNLV on the road, but that's a moving potential there, right? UNLV on the road in a game where, hey, they're good enough to give Boise State a game, but there's still quite a few things. There's quite a few winning opportunities for UCLA early on in the non-conference. Now, they could easily be 0-2. They could easily be 2-0. They could be 1-1. It's a fluid situation, but if the Bruins have the talent, obviously it's not the same like starting the season off in a hot, humid game in Hawaii, where Hawaii's already played a game. You're going to get a hot day, maybe if it's a hot day, or maybe an evening game in the Rose Bowl. Much better than going to Hawaii, you could say, at least travel-wise. And then, hey, you're not going to LSU in the non-conference. And all of a sudden, UCLA, you get New Mexico. And New Mexico's coach just left in Bronco Mendenhall, right? I believe. So, all right, a much easier slate, I think, than what UCLA's had in the past. And, oh, by the way, your first Big Ten game of the year after a bye is in Illinois against Northwestern in their small field. And maybe Northwestern's primed for a comeback year. I'm not entirely sure about that. Maybe UCLA, people looking on the outside, looking towards UCLA could say the same thing. But if UCLA is playing Northwestern, that's a game where both schools are thinking, hey, we've got a chance to win that game. And Northwestern is playing at home, and I'm pretty sure that is going to be a game, the small Lake Stadium, I think still, because their stadium won't be ready, but it's not going to be at Wrigley Field like some hoped. UCLA's first home Big Ten game against Penn State. Okay, every year you never know what Penn State's going to bring. Generally a top 3 Big Ten team, potential to make the playoff in the expanded version as it is. But now that UCLA has that game at home, maybe the Bruins could surprise Penn State. I don't know. But then you get Michigan State on the road. Okay, that'll be year 2 under Jonathan Smith with a quarterback that's aged and matured for a team that is did a lot better in year 1 than maybe some would have expected for the Spartans. You host Maryland, who was not good, but they did beat USC. Maybe Indiana can't replicate last year's success, but that game's in Bloomington for a town that's now football crazed instead of football starved. Host Nebraska, a lot of red. UCLA versus Ohio State in Columbus, which if UCLA had played this game last year would have been so entertaining with all the players being like, screw you, Chip Kelly. And then you end the season with a home game against Washington and a road game against USC. And with the road game against USC, that means your Big Ten road schedule is not that crazy. The furthest east UCLA goes is not like 3 times to New Jersey, to Louisiana, to, right, or Pennsylvania. Going to State College, it's to Bloomington, Columbus, East Lansing. Fairly manageable trips that are not as far as what UCLA had to deal with before. And once again, that other road game is going to be at USC. And then the other road game in their schedule, yes, Chicago, fly to Chicago, get to Evanston, not that crazy. And going to Las Vegas, the travel's less. UCLA's buys, as I try to take a look at it quickly here, come at nice points. So they come after the travel. They come right before travel to Northwestern. And the travel also comes right after the Indiana game during Halloween week. So UCLA has, I think, well-timed breaks after some road trips back east. So the Bruins will be rested. If they can find players like UCLA is, I think, hosting some D-line talent. They're going after some DBs to get even better in a very young secondary because the Bruins hit the portal hard for this year's starting lineup in the 24 season. And they can go find a quarterback, whether he's on the roster already or they find somebody who can handle a new system, a new potential thing for UCLA football. Well, we'll see how that all plays out here for the Bruins in 25. All right, some of the best options gone, but the staff is coming together for DeShaun Foster. And I wonder if there'll be any more shakeups before it's all said and done. Be here with Locked On UCLA for more when we talk about all the crazy portal options. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. Check out the latest stats, get a hunch, check it all out on the same page where you place your live bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. It's guaranteed perfection in every single bite. Right now, you can save on unforgettable gifts with a 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com, plus an extra $30 off with the promo code COLLEGE. 5 generations of experience as they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience. And with their gifting experts at Omaha Steaks, they know how to deliver perfectly, thoughtfully curated gift packages featuring gourmet favorites, whether it's the steaks, mouth-watering desserts. Save 50% off site-wide for a limited time at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with the promo code COLLEGE. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com, omahasteaks.com, and an extra $30 off with the promo code COLLEGE. Minimum purchase may apply. All right, here we are. That's going to do it for Locked On UCLA. We're going to have more portal news. If anybody leaves, anybody comes in, we'll talk more basketball as the Bruins head to Arizona to take on the Arizona Wildcats, not in Tucson, but in Phoenix in a midday matinee. And for UCLA, the women, probably a couple cupcakes before they get challenged again in non-conference heading into Big Ten play. But for now, get your hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA. Fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.